We all use it every day. I mean, probably without even thinking about it much, right? Like a dollar, it's just there in our wallets, pockets.
Right.
But what if there's like a whole crazy story behind that little piece of green paper?
Yeah.
We're going deep today, deep dive into the history and all the hidden symbols of the US dollar.
That's right. We've got some amazing material for this one.
Oh, it's fascinating. Really gets you thinking differently about, something we use every single day. Our goal today is to uncover those, I guess, key moments.
Absolutely, yeah.
The intriguing details, the things that have made this powerful currency what it is.
Totally. I think it's going to be really interesting for people to think about, like, before the dollar as we know it, like, the American economy was completely different. Go back to the 1700s, like, bartering. That was huge, just the fundamental way that people traded goods and services. But there were also Spanish silver coins floating around, giving a more standardized way to exchange.
Yeah.
And get this, in some places, they even used whiskey.
Whiskey as payment.
That's right.
Wow. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
So how do we go from like whiskey and bartering to the dollar, what we know as the US dollar?
Well, the big shift came with the Coinage Act of 1792. This actually made it official. The dollar was now the standard unit of currency for the entire United States. Like a huge step, right, towards a more unified national economy. And it wasn't just about creating a currency, it's about the symbols, symbols that they chose to represent this thing. And that's what I think really keeps fascinating people to this day.
Right, like the Great Seal. It's so striking.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the pyramid, you've got the all-seeing eye. Yeah, what's the story there? What's going on?
The pyramid, they often depict it as unfinished.
Yeah.
That can kind of be seen as like strength, endurance, this idea of a nation that's still growing, still has like future growth ahead.
It's always being built.
Exactly. The connection to the Freemasons comes up a lot.
Right, because of the shared symbolism and the fact that, many founding fathers were members of that group. And then there's the all-seeing eye.
And that has a lot of different interpretations, right? It's not just one single meaning.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for a lot of folks, it symbolizes divine guidance, like the Eye of Providence is watching over, protecting the United States.
Okay.
But some people see it with a bit more, I guess, skepticism. They think it represents like a hidden elite. Or just like a watchful power, keeping an eye on things. But what's interesting is this symbol, it wasn't like totally brand new to the US. You find similar imagery popping up in the Enlightenment, where it represented things like reason and oversight in a well-run society.
It makes you think. It's interesting how things we take for granted on the dollar, like in God we trust, that wasn't always there.
You're so right. In God we trust. Didn't it become a standard part of our currency until the 1950s?
Wow.
Right in the middle of the Cold War.
Putting it on the money then, it was a way to kind of highlight American values and, put them up against the atheistic ideologies that were, big at the time. It just shows you how even money, can be shaped by what's happening in the world, the beliefs of the time, the big events.
That's interesting. Now, the Federal Reserve, it gets talked about a lot, often called a private central bank.
Yeah.
What's that even mean? Like, how's our money actually made? What's the deal there?
The Federal Reserve System, Congress created it, but it works with a certain amount of independence.
Good.
So the 12 Federal Reserve banks, they're technically owned by commercial banks in their district, so that makes them private in a way.
I see.
But the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, that's the group overseeing the whole thing. They're a government agency.
Okay.
They try to balance it out, so they can make decisions about monetary policy without direct political pressure.
So it's kind of both, right?
Yeah, it's a blend of public and private, and the dollar itself has gone through a huge evolution. It used to be backed by something real, like gold.
Right.
But during the 20th century, they cut that tie.
Wow.
They moved to what's called fiat currency, which means its value comes from the government saying so.
Okay.
And from the people believing in it, not from some physical thing like a pile of gold somewhere. And there were a lot of reasons for that change, like needing to pay for huge wars.
I see. And managing the ups and downs of the economy. It's a reminder that even the very idea of money changes as the world changes, as power shifts and as we face new global realities.
It's amazing to think, from bartering to whiskey,
Right.
to dollars backed by gold to the paper money that we use today with all of its symbols and everything. It's quite a journey.
It truly is, and it just underlines this idea that that dollar in your pocket, it's not just for buying stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little piece of history,
Mhm.
full of meaning, reflecting these huge shifts in our country's story.
That's really cool. So next time you're using a dollar, maybe take a second.
Really look at it. Think about everything it's been through.
It's a long journey.
It's a long journey. All those symbols, the forces that have shaped its value, it might change how you see it. You know, it's something we use every single day, but maybe there's a lot more to it than we realize. You know, maybe do some digging on your own, look into this history. I think you might be surprised what you find.
It's fascinating stuff.
Definitely worth checking out.